Hello fellow collectors and welcome to Long's Toys. Today we are taking a look at Deluxe Class Cheetor from Transformers Bumblebee Cyberverse Adventures. Right away you can see it's in this new style of open packaging where you can reach right in and touch the figure. There's no plastic window anymore. And I'm all for eliminating plastic in the packaging here, but I would rather you just do like a closed box. I don't really like open packaging. I know Cyberverse has seen it before with Ultra Class and one-step changers and things like that. I'm just not a huge fan. It's very easy for people to reach in, steal pieces, or break things, or who knows what. I'd rather just have it more secure. I mean, we've all seen what happened to little LeBron James heads, right? I mean, I don't want that happening over here with Transformers. But you have some really nice artwork here on the front with the cheetah mode, with the armor apply, which I think looks pretty cool. Over here on the side, you have this Dinobots Unite branding, and you have all the Dinobots over here on the side. Over here, we have a picture of Cheetor, and I'm going to do more of a comparison with the two figures later, but I wanted to bring in... This is the Energon armor, or whatever that Season 2 gimmick was with the armor. Don't you feel like this picture is definitely more patterned after this figure than the figure that's actually inside this box? He doesn't have the cuff around the neck like this guy does, and I feel like this is definitely more reminiscent of the show, and of course the original toy and his original Beast Wars appearance. But this figure, I feel like, is definitely the inspiration for this picture on the side of the box. Just wanted to point it out. Like I said, I'll bring this figure back a little bit later on, but I just wanted to point that out. Over here on the back, of course, you have the robot mode, you have the beast mode, you have the Energon armor applied in both instances there, and again, some more cool artwork with the Saber Strike. So I'm looking forward to this figure. Let's go ahead, let's get him out of the box, and we'll take a closer look. So here he is out of the box, and honestly, he's okay. I have to admit, though, I am a little underwhelmed, and I think what happened was a lot of people were tweeting about how great this figure was online, and so it kind of unknowingly built an expectation in my head that when I finally got the figure out of the box, I was a little disappointed. I mean, aesthetically from the front, he looks okay. The robot mode's fine, but I think what a lot of my problems stem from is this kibble here on the back. So you have these two panels that are needed for the cheetah mode to really just kind of cover up large sections of the robot mode. We'll get there. But in any case, they tuck against the back pretty well, and they don't really get in the way, which is nice. But the cheetah legs here really just hang off the back, and I know that is pretty par for the course for Cheetor figures, but usually you can kind of have the legs kind of crisscross and make an X on the back, so they're kind of tucked out of the way. You can't really do that here, because these pieces are already in that space, and so you can't really bring this over here to kind of, you know, have them crisscross along the back. The other thing is, because of the way these are made, there's a small tab of plastic right in here, which you probably won't be able to see, but it prevents these from really like going all the way straight vertically down, and so they kind of just have to hang out here on the side. I thought about maybe tucking them up like this, but it kind of just gets more in the way of the shoulder movement there, which is a bit of a bummer. So there's not really a great option for these. And also, why are these large sections of the cheetah leg just randomly brown? I don't really understand that, because cheetahs don't have the lower half of their front legs a different color than the rest of their body. At least the last time I looked at a cheetah, and maybe it's been a minute, but I don't remember them being brown. I understand the brown here in the robot mode. It breaks it up a little bit. You have to have a little bit of color. But if you're trying to be a cheetah, I feel like his legs should be all one color. So I don't really understand why there are different colors. So there's just a couple of random things, mostly having to do with this section on the back here. I don't know. It just gets in the way. And the other thing is here, in the torso section, you can see how this is just a little loose, and so how it works is that's going to slide up in the cheetah mode, and we'll get there, but the cheetah head comes down and pegs into the torso really nicely, and that's really kind of nice and strong, the connection there. But this back doesn't really connect. Like, if this would come down and snap into place, and I've tried it a couple times, maybe I'm missing something, it doesn't really do it on mine. Maybe it's just a problem with mine, or maybe it's, you know, all the way across. Maybe it's a QC issue. I don't know. But it just, that moves around a little bit. So when I'm trying to move, you know, the shoulders around, it ends up moving that around a little bit. It's not a huge problem, but it's just something I wish was a little bit more secure and just really like snapped into place in the robot mode. And unfortunately, it just doesn't. Otherwise, like I said, it's pretty aesthetically well done in terms of the robot mode here. I think the head sculpt looks pretty good. I like the face. You have a kind of limited ball joint, so you can look up about that much, look down. You can tilt a little side to side, certainly look side to side. And I'm assuming with the high collar here, they're going for kind of the aesthetic of the original toy and the way he looked in the original Beast Wars cartoon. And it looks okay from the front, but when you spin it around, it's just this like gigantic cheetah neck that just looks a little strange. And because it kind of blends into the back of the body, it just looks a little off. So, I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of it. Plus, you have this giant hinge right here, which just kind of looks out of place. You have a ball joint here for the shoulder. You have a bicep swivel. You have 90 degrees there in the elbow. You do have a little ball joint here in the wrist, which is nice because you do have to put the fist into the forearm for the transformation here. But it didn't sacrifice, the movement here in the wrist, which I do appreciate. You have a swivel here in the waist. You have a ball joint in the hip. You have a thigh swivel there. You have a little over 90 degrees in the knee. You do have an ankle rocker front to back, and also a tilt side to side. So that's kind of nice. So he's got a pretty decent amount of articulation. I just really wish the kibble on the back didn't really get in the way, and those legs could kind of go somewhere that they weren't just hanging there. Even if they had put a swivel here so that I could rotate these and maybe have them jet out, or maybe, rotate them toward the body, or even if they faced this way. It's just like the worst possible, like out of the 4 directions this could face, this is the worst possible way in my opinion. You do have some tail movement here as well that you can use. So all in all, it's not too bad, but I just feel like there are a couple problems that just kind of take me out of it. But let's go ahead. We'll bring in these Energon armor pieces that we can go ahead and peg in. So you have these 2, claw, paw pieces that are going to connect to the front legs in the cheetah mode. But for now, there's a little tab on the inside there that we can tab into this shoulder section. And so you can go ahead and pop this on here. It's not the best connection because obviously the slit is very long and the piece here is very small. So you can kind of move it around, and as long as it just kind of fits anywhere in that spot, it works. But it does kind of also impede shoulder movement because then these shoulders are going to be hitting into the legs again, which just once again are in the way. Now this way it's fine, little front to back, you kind of run into some problems there. They want you to take this piece that's going to cover the cheetah head and peg it into the forearm. I don't really know why. I mean, it doesn't look terrible, but it really just feels like they're trying to store it somewhere. And then you can just go ahead and give them the 2 blades, which I actually really do like the 2 swords. I think they work out well. I think they look pretty cool. I kind of wish he had his typical cannon like we're used to from Beast Wars, but the swords aren't bad. I think they actually look pretty cool. So he looks all right with the armor. Not the best, but I think he looks all right. It just kind of pegs in there. So I really feel like the shoulders do kind of impede movement, and this thing just seems silly, but I do at least like the blades. So I wanted to bring in the older Cheetor figure here so we can do a quick little comparison. And they're honestly not too different. I would say the biggest difference is the obvious color scheme difference. He's kind of a darker orange, while he's kind of a lighter yellow. But for the most part, they transform very similarly. I would say from the waist down, they're almost identical in terms of like their articulation. I would say the hips, the thighs, the knees, they both have that kind of backwards bending shin bend here. And then they have the same kind of ankles, although he does have ankle tilt, he does not. You have a little bit more detail here in paint applications like in the arms, but they're fairly similar. I will say he has those paws that just kind of hang off his arms there, but that's a trade-off for him having no kibble on the back. So, it's just kind of what you prefer. Now, obviously, he also had some kind of Energon armor gimmick that we'll get into in a little bit. But yeah, I would just say they're not too dissimilar. Obviously, I would say the back kibble is kind of the main difference and the color scheme. But yeah, they're both pretty solid figures. So here are the 2 Cheetor figures with their armor attached. I would say the old figure has a much more significant difference. New head, new chest, new set of arms, everything. Whereas this guy really just has some shoulder pads and a forearm guard and a couple of swords. But not to say one's better than the other. I just wanted to show them off together because they both do kind of have Energon armor upgrades, which I thought was really fun. So let's go ahead and get into the transformation. It's honestly pretty simplistic. You're going to go ahead and start by just untabbing the cheetah head here, and this is going to pop out on a series of hinges. This is going to go up and cover the robot head, and you can kind of see that there are 2 little clips on the sides right there, which are going to kind of clip into this cheetah neck section. You kind of have to make sure that this goes up over the head, which can be a little hard to do sometimes, but you can get this over, and then this will clip into place. Now, I will say that as a result of this, it really does kind of make the cheetah head look tiny, especially like this neck just comes out, and I don't know, it just looks a little off. The mouth does open and close, and you have some nice green paint there for the eyes, which I do appreciate. Next, you're going to pull this section up, and this is going to kind of tilt up like this. You're going to take this, put the fist into the forearm, bend this 90 degrees, and then bend it backwards, away from the way the elbow normally goes. Then this is going to kind of rotate in this whole section here, and you want to kind of drop this in on the right side of the like little panel that's there, that kind of tab. And that's just kind of a guide. It doesn't really peg in place or anything. It's just kind of a guide. We're going to do this, bring this in, fold this in as well. And it's just weird because they have little tabs on them. You can see the little tab right there, but that doesn't really peg into anything. You can move these cheetah legs out of the way. And then these pieces here on the back, you can see that there's a little tab, and that's going to tab into this right here. So this comes around, and it can be a little weird with clearance issues, but you tab that in and bring this around and tab that in as well. So really all these pieces are doing is attempting to hide the giant robot arms that just hang underneath there. So now you can kind of straighten out the legs here. And sadly to say, all you're going to do for the back is kind of crouch these robot legs in a way that resembles somewhat a large jungle cat. And that's really it. There's not much going on here. They don't do much to hide these legs. They just kind of, they put that little bend in the shin there, and that's supposed to make it all work. I don't know. Like, you have such massive back legs, and then the front legs look so sad and tiny. And I mean, here is the other Cheetor that we just took a look at just for a comparison. And this transformation is not really any different, honestly. They both transform the back legs exactly the same way. It's just not that great. I'm sorry. I kind of like this head a little bit better. This just seems kind of sad. And again, why would his jaw be a different color? I don't really get that. So I just wanted to do a quick comparison there. He's very lean. This one seems very, very thin and scrawny. But this one just has those robot arms just hanging underneath. So obviously just the robot arms. And then the legs are just right there. There's no hiding them. So, I don't know. The transformation's not really that great. I want to go ahead and pop this armor on here, because it does help a little bit. If I can get this to clip in. And sometimes it's a little difficult to get these where you want them. And then there are other times when I can't get it off. There we go. That's clipped in. You can kind of open the mouth. And that looks a little better because it kind of makes the head a little bit more pronounced. But it makes the mouth underneath look smaller. You can take the blades here and see how they have a little tab on the side. They will tab into that little tab hole right there. So you can go ahead and tab that in there, and we'll do the same over here for this one. And then they want you to take these, and those little tab slots right there is where this tab will go into. And these peg in really nice and sturdy. I will say that's one nice thing for these. And it just really, it kind of gives it a little bit of a much needed bulkiness, because he does look so scrawny, especially the head and the legs. And I feel like they do it intentionally so that when you attach these, it looks better. But if you prefer without the armor, you're kind of out of luck, because they just look really scrawny and misproportioned. And this looks better. I kind of like this, but again, those legs in the back are just so lazy, and I wish they could figure out something else to do. For a deluxe figure, the transformation just seems really kind of lazy, and the cheetah mode you're left with just, for me at least, leaves a lot to be desired. So I have to admit, I'm a little underwhelmed. He's not a terrible figure. He's not a great figure. He's just very middle of the road. I don't know if it was the hype I saw online or just the fact that it's a deluxe figure, but I expected a little bit more. I think the robot mode is perfectly fine. From the front, he looks good. Color scheme's nice, some nice paint applications, decent articulation. Just all that kibble on the back really just gets in the way and hangs down, and I really just don't like the look of it. But the transformation seems really lazy to me, and the cheetah mode just really doesn't work in my opinion. They're relying too much on that Energon armor to really kind of make that work, and it still doesn't even really pull it off. It's not bad, like I said, it's not terrible. I'm not trying to really rail on this figure. I know it might come off that way. It's just, I expected a little bit more, so I'm a little underwhelmed. But I feel like if you know what you're getting going in, and you're still fine with it, you could really enjoy the figure. Because like I said, he really does look good in the robot mode, especially from the front. It's just the cheetah mode I feel like suffers a little bit. But I feel like if you set the right expectation going in, you can still be pretty happy with this figure. So that's just the point I want to kind of get across. But yeah, at the end of the day, he's okay. You know, maybe wait for a sale, something like that. I just don't think you need to rush right out and grab him right away. But if you feel differently, by all means. I found mine at Target. I think he's starting to make the rounds there, probably Amazon in a little bit, maybe even Walmart. I'm not really sure what Walmart's doing with Cyberverse stuff. They haven't really carried it in a while, and then randomly they'll just have some, so you never know. But I would definitely say Target's probably your best bet if you're in the market for this guy. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and as always, thanks so much for watching.